come on into the live. I just wanted to give a quick message, give a quick word. Um, as you can see per the title, right? It says many are the plans in a man's heart, but only the will of God shall prevail, or God's plans shall prevail. And so if you're new to the platform, go ahead and subscribe right now. And if you feel like this message, upon listening to it, will inspire someone, go ahead and share as well. So many of you right now, you're on this journey, right? You're on your unique path, to discovering God's will for your life, what it is that you were created to do, etc., etc. And you've written down exhaustively, right? You've been detailed about what it is that you want, where it is you see yourself, as far as work, as far as marriage, the woman that you want, the man that you want, money you want to be making a month, how much, the amount of money you want to make a month, and so on, right? And so many of you, you can tick off or check off some accomplishments. You can look back and say, okay, wow, God really did this. But there are some things that you're like, God, what's going on? Particularly when it comes to the areas of your finances and your relationship, aka your wife or your husband. And so I just wanted to encourage you before I get on this bus here. I'm heading to I have this job that I started. They I have to complete a cultural competency course that is required for employment in the state that I'm in. And so I was just inspired, to come on here and to encourage some people, as far as just being open to where God is leading you. Because even now, what I'm doing right now, the industry that I'm in right now, it's not really a surprise when I think about my family and where I grew up and just what my family has been doing for generations is not a surprise, right? And so oftentimes we've become so occupied and with expectations and with our own selfish desires that we can't really see what God has presented in front of us or what God has been leading us to do for a very long time. I know for me, God was like, I've been, now is the time, right? When I had my awakening in 2016, God began to talk to me about purpose amongst other things. But he was like, basically, now's the time for you to do what I've been leading you to do from since your teenage years, from your teenage years, your college years, your university years. And for some time, I had to think like, what is it, what God, what are you talking about, right? What is it that you've been leading me to do? Thank you for joining the live. Thank you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. What is it that you've been leading me to do from since my teenage years? And I had to really think for a couple years, for several years, I didn't stop. I was like, I'm going to wait until God answered me. I was still, living and doing what I felt in my heart I needed to do as far as purpose. But I was always like, what is this? What have you been leading me to do? And I kept asking God because I hadn't gotten a clear answer yet, right? So if this live pause, I'm gonna pause it because I have to get on the bus because my bus pass is on my phone, and I'll be back on the live in a bit if I'm disconnected. So just stay connected. Again, don't forget to subscribe so that way you can be a part of what it is that I'm doing. Okay. All right. If you guys can hear me, I'm gonna try to talk as close to the phone as possible. So as I was saying, right, um, I was asking God, like, what is it that you've been leading me to do from since? Yes, I am. What is it that you've been leading me to do since my teenage years, right? Since teenage, college, university years. And so I had to really think about it. I really had to really, well, think. But I kept on asking, like, what is it? Because I've been a part of so much different industries that it was not as easy as I thought it would be to discern it, right? But lo and behold, right, I would have these moments where I would be reminiscing about like my past and just again wanting to know what is this path that God is talking about. And so, long story short, I started to get revelations about like the health industry, right? And so most of y'all don't know this because I don't really talk about it, but my grandmother was the first person in our family to migrate to the States, right? This was in 1969. And she retired as a nurse, right? So even before she relocated or migrated to the States, she was already a nurse in her island, on her island of Grenada, right? And so it was her brother, right, who had the opportunity to travel abroad and was able to, as we would say, send for her or get her a visa that allowed her to also come along this journey. I call it a journey now, right? And so God began to speak to me about just the generational blessing or the generational path of being in the health industry. So now I'm taking inventory of like my family members, right? So like I said, my grandmother. So that would make me a third generation health health industry participant, if you want to say it like that. But so there's nurses, there's dietitians, there are CNAs, there are administrators, right? And doctors. That's some. So I was just like, wait. So all this time, right? All this time, I'm trying to figure out what it is that I was created to do, what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. And it was right in my face the whole time. In fact, part of me growing up, when my grandmother retired and went back to Grenada, she took me with her, right? And that's where I kind of got a lot of the, I guess, subconsciously, a lot of the seeds were being planted. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. So yeah, I feel like that's where a lot of the seeds were being planted subconsciously about where and what my path would be. But as I said before in the beginning of this live, is that when you're in this world and you don't have your own identity, or you are trying to figure out who you are and what it is that you were created to do, you're gonna be basically a part of everyone's expectations, right? And so for me, it took definitely being born again, right? Having a reconnection with God, and then sacrificing people, places, and things to cultivate my relationship with God, who ultimately led me down or in the path that I'm in right now and continues to do so. So this is just to encourage someone who is needing motivation or encouragement or a reminder that ultimately many are the plans in a man's heart, but it's God's will that will prevail. So continue believing, continue seeking, continue asking, continue affirming, but be open to how God is going to use you. Be open to how God is going to lead you. According to the word, it's already done, right? The hopes, plans, and future that God has for you, it's already done. You just have to be open to what that is.